Welcome to another edition of Politricked here on the Got What You Need Network. Hope everybody's doing well. Since the last time we spoke, have a lot of information that I want to get out in this broadcast. We definitely going to speak on the Epstein story that won't go away, nor should it. There's a gentleman by the name, and I use gentleman loosely, Ryan Walters. He's a superintendent out of Oklahoma. And he got caught doing some things that he was supposedly against. We'll talk about that. Eric Adams, he's now being sued by the administration because they don't feel that he's done a good enough job to cooperate with federal authorities, despite the fact that he legally can't order the NYPD to cooperate because of New York City's sanctuary city status. And then, man, like the Texas GOP just literally has no shame. All right. Less than a month ago, July 4th weekend, there was some storms that came through, heavy rains came through central Texas. And because of the lack of early warning, and we've already talked about why they don't have that, why they didn't have that equipment and things ready, so we don't have to dwell on that. And also, like, sometimes you get too comfortable because you've lived in an area long enough. You just feel like, we've been through it, this, that, and the other. I think a little bit of that played a role in people not getting a higher ground sooner. But we had a big storm, and we had mass casualties. And later we find out that the moves that Trump made to gut the National Weather Service, as well as some cruddy dealings by the Sheriff's Department of Kerr County, as well as county officials, because they took the money from the American Rescue Plan that was supposed to pay for these different things, and they decided that they would down talk and slander Biden and the money, like pretending like, oh, we don't want it, we're going to send it back. Then they said, well, if we send it back, it'll go to a blue state. We don't want that. So then they cooked up this plan to split the money up. So they split up the money between the Sheriff's Department, which all got 10% raises, staff of the Sheriff's Department that got raises. Then they paid for new radios for the Sheriff's Department. Now, to implement this system was supposed to cost $3 million. They took a bid, the only one, for $5 million, and then still gave the gentleman $7 million to put everything together. I bring this up because to me, there's not enough backlash from these people taking money that was supposed to be used to help and protect you, and they spent it on themselves, and because of that, people died, and they had one hearing about it. I bring this up because now in Texas, instead of doing everything they can to make these people whole, they're saying, in order for us to even talk about flood relief, we have to couple that with doing redistricting, and we're doing redistricting now. And if we can't do redistricting, then we're not even going to discuss any type of flood relief. And they basically just want to gerrymander the Texas map more than it already is to try to help the GOP hold on to the House in 2026. I don't care how conservative you are. If the people of Texas, the conservative people of Texas, don't stand up and demand better of the GOP, whatever happens to them is what they brought on themselves. I'm not wishing anything bad. I'm not hoping for anything bad. I'm not that type of person. But these people were the first to say it wasn't time to ask those kind of questions. It wasn't time to do this and that. And now that they think the smoke is clear, they're right back to all the little dirty, sneaky, underhanded political nonsense or whatever. I'm tired of allowing people to vote from a hateful and racist posture and then expect the people who are most adversely affected by the policies you vote for to then show compassion when you're hurt. Once again, I won't celebrate someone's demise, but I'm not going to give undue and undeserved empathy nor sympathy for people who don't care enough about themselves, their children, their grandchildren, and future generations of what they call Flash Flood Alley, that you won't make it better for the people that's going to come after you. And for the GOP, and this is how bad they know it is. They even had a gentleman running for Congress, in Texas. I believe his name's Isaiah Washington, but I want to make sure I get his name right because he's a very, very brave soul. And he went out and he went to one of the hearings, speaking up for people, people who really can't speak for themselves. And he was arrested and put in jail. Like, I think he stayed in jail for like 2 nights or at least a night or whatever. And I'm sitting here like, wait a minute, how, what are we doing here? Like, so now this man can't even, he can't even speak out for the people that he represents. And then every time, like, the GOP, whether it's the national GOP or state-run GOP, anytime they feel like the person speaking is scoring too many points or what have you, then they want to arrest them. And then what's the first thing they do? Oh, he or she was resisting arrest. He was not resisting arrest. He got thrown down like face first for nothing other other than speaking truth to power. That's all he was doing. That's all he was doing. Like, to me, what really bothers me about those on the right is that there are some policies are messed up, but you won't stand on them. And the crime is the person that's calling out the nonsense versus the crime itself. Like I said, it's just it's sad, it's hypocritical. And once again, like I said, and I'm sorry, I'm looking for something as I'm talking. I apologize for that. Isaiah Martin is his name. All right, and this goes into the same spirit of when Ras Baraka was arrested. The congresswoman from New Jersey that was arrested. Um, you know, this thing to where it's like we said it's like this, and I don't care if I'm lying. You don't have a right to call me out for lying. Like, that's just gotta go. I'm sorry. Like, that spirit, that nonsense has to go. So we're gonna wrap this first segment up with, look, Texas Republicans, like, you gotta figure out, what do you want in life? I saw you 3 and 4 days before the storm on TikTok, a lot of you, joking about alligator Alcatraz, and I'm going to get a t-shirt, and I'm going to get this, and I'm going to get that, and so on and so forth. 4, 5 days later, you were on that same social media platform, crying, snot bubbles coming out of your nose, talking about, we need help. And some of us laughed, and we shouldn't have. I don't apologize for it, but I shouldn't have did it, or whatever. But now, here's a chance for you to say, no, 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 no. We're not going through this, or what have you. We don't need to be worrying about redistricting or any. And if we want to do that, we can do that later. We need to get the people that need the help. And until I see more, and full disclosure, at all of the hearings so far, it's been overflow, not just standing room only, but overflow, where people literally had to line up outside, down the street, down the hall, in order to be able to speak. So that is something that's heartening for me, but like I said, I need to see more of that. Eric Leroy Adams. Yo, what's up with these 3 first names, first of all? But nah, I ain't gonna go there. That was wrong. My bad. I apologize, Mayor Adams. But it seems that the deal that you made with the administration, they don't feel like you've held up your part of the bargain, and now they're going to sue you. Now the lawsuit is frivolous. You know, let's be absolutely clear. The lawsuit is amongst a bunch of things that the administration is throwing against the wall to distract from some things that we'll talk about. We'll talk about later in this broadcast or whatever. But this comes off the heels of a shooting of a Homeland Security officer, and he was shot by two men from the Dominican Republic who were here illegally in order to be deported. Now, I spoke about this in the past, and I'll speak about it now. Eric Adams said, well, the sanctuary rule stops me from going after them or whatever. That's a lie. Once they've committed a crime, they're subject to the same rules and laws as any American citizen. And since they were already convicted of crimes and ordered to be deported, they could have been picked up at any time and sent back to their country, and no one would have said anything. But because these guys, Miguel Francisco Mora Nunez, 4 names, Christian Abar Barea, they were already convicted, but because they were convicted of violent crimes, they ain't going after them because they don't want to smoke. See, it's easy to show up at a farm. It's easy to show up at a restaurant, a warehouse, or whatever. I even saw it here in New Jersey. I believe it was the Amazon location in Edison. And they were like American citizens on one side, those with work visas on the other side. And I'm just sitting here like, if they're at work with a work visa, what business do you have there besides to harass and scare and implement fear? But before I get too far off the topic, so these guys could have been sent back to their country at any time, and because ICE only wants to go after those who they don't think will fight back, um, these guys were here to then shoot the the officer from Homeland Security, from DHS or whatever, and he shot one of the assailants as well, and both are expected to survive. This is what I say about this. The lawsuit is frivolous. Let's just start there. Um, but it does shine a spotlight once again on, are we really trying to get rid of the worst of the worst? Or are we trying to meet Stephen Miller's quota that he spoke about? And I guess it's related but unrelated. Y'all give Trump too much credit for this. Oh, border crossings are way down, and all this kind of stuff. Who says? I can't trust anything coming out of this administration at this time. All right. Now we got less people trying to come in legally because tourism is way down, and places where that live off tourism, like Vegas, it's not enough Americans to keep Las Vegas afloat. There's not enough Americans visiting Disneyland and Disney World to keep these places afloat. We count on international tourism, and it's way down because of these policies. Even without all these scare tactics, Biden had deported more people than Trump did at the same time. He just didn't do it on TV and try to and film it and try to make it out to be like a TV show or what have you. Some of it he was hiding because he didn't want to lose support, the Latino votes or whatever. But the other part of it was, hey, we just don't need to film that. You know what I'm saying? So, we gotta parse through all the bluster and oh my God, we need to get rid of all these people when they're really not. So we're gonna see how this plays out. Eric Adams, you already know, Mayor Eric Adams, give him his respect. Y'all know I'm not a fan of him. He's a liar. He's a crook. He's a sneak. In November, New York will be done with him, and hopefully he will be made to take account for some of the transgressions that he's either performed or overseen. He's just run one of the most corrupt, New York, mayoral, governments ever. Ever. Just the overtime cheating, the sexual harassment, the shaking down of clubs and bodegas by some of his top lieutenants, some of his top handpicked leaders either are indicted or had to resign because they didn't want to get caught up in his stuff. But then he wants to take shots at Senator O'Halloran from Maryland when he visited the wrongly deported gentlemen, and I believe they were in El Salvador, and one of the bartenders was told to sit alcoholic drink next to him so they could take a picture and then make it seem like he went down there to have a cocktail with them, and he thought that the mayor of New York, needed to speak on that. And then the Islamophobia that he's spewing against the Democratic nominee Mondani is just disheartening or whatever. And lastly, man, black churches, can y'all just stop being like everybody's like fall guy? Look, I ain't got no problem with y'all being forgiving people. But a lot of these crimes he performed like were perpetrated against black people. And then y'all sit there and let that man get up there talking and doing all that nonsense or whatever, shucking and jiving or whatever. Like, oh, skin folk ain't kinfolk, man. And Mayor Eric Adams is a horrible human being. Let's just be absolutely clear. He is a horrible human being. So I'm not going to sit here and say like I said, the lawsuit is frivolous. It's without merit. It's pretty much just that he didn't give them enough in exchange for having those federal bribery charges thrown away and got rid of. They feel like, hey, we did a lot for you. You probably would be going to prison if it wasn't for us. And we don't feel like we got enough on our investment. So we gonna sue your ass. All right. Whew, Ryan Walters. Let me ask y'all this, right? Why is it that almost any time somebody on the right is really totally against something or they speak out against it, it makes them so sick or whatever, you can almost bet money they gonna get caught up in it. So this the guy, ultra conservative Trumper, who tried to implement Trump Bibles and a Trump curriculum into the Oklahoma state public schools. It got knocked down by the state Supreme Court, which at least they said, yo, we kind of agree with you, but you can't do this. Like, thank you. Like, at least they got that right. But some of the things that he felt like he had to step up and stop, you guys, was there were libraries full of porn that he had to get rid of. He had to fight against all of that. And also the woke and the black history and so on and so forth. Well, he's under investigation now because at least 2 female staff members said that while they were in his office on official business, he had porn playing from his computer. And I guess once it got loud enough for someone to hear it, he jumped up like, I don't know how this got on my computer. Somebody must have set me up in, all the different excuses. I must have clicked on the wrong link or whatever. So you want to save the kids and young adults and students and, maybe even some adults from this nasty world where they have libraries that are just to consume porn. But yet, you were on your work device watching porn. And this is 100% true. His name is Ryan Walters. Google it. It's there for y'all to see. And it's so bad that even the GOP leaders are like, yo, man, you got to cooperate with the investigation. Like, you did this. You opened yourself up to this. You spoke out against all this stuff. And now you got to speak on how you can be so much against porn and then you sitting there consuming, well, so much against anything. And then you're sitting there, watching and doing whatever at work. All right, we're going to end with Epstein and this story that won't go away. Now, let's start here, right? MAGA, the right, and all of them, they ran on this. People who didn't want to be attached to Donald Trump's to the racism and all the craziness, right? They hung their hat on, look, he does a lot of stuff I don't agree with, but if he's gonna expose the pedophiles and this large Hollywood pedophile ring, I'm all for it. All right. Now, what we also know is 2 months before any of this stuff came up, he ordered the Attorney General to look over the files. She pulled 1,000 FBI agents out of the field to work 24-hour shifts to flag the files if and when his name came up. Guess what? His name came up a lot. Because his name came up a lot, now he has to go into like downplaying it and making it not a big deal, because obviously he was told your name appears. There's no way for us to eliminate your name without it being caught. Like, there's no way for us to fix the files to be able to release them with just the people that you want exposed and you not being exposed. All right. So it's a kind of refreshing that a good number of people on the right aren't going along with it. Congressman Scott Perry, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, gotta mention her. I'm not a fan of hers, never was, never will be, but at least she's standing on business when it comes to this. Congressman Chip Roy and Congressman Ralph Norman are just some of the people on the right that are saying that we must have these files, and these files must be released publicly. The House, the Democrats are trying to force the House to take a vote on releasing the files, and Speaker Mike Johnson keeps playing political games to the point to where he closed the House of Representatives down a week early for August recess so that he wouldn't have to keep blocking votes on releasing the files. Little did he know the Oversight Committee was meeting, and I guess a bunch of the GOP members of this committee had went on break, and Representative Summer Lee thought this would be a perfect time to ask for the vote. The chairman, he immediately called for a recess because he was caught off guard after the recess and after he found out that he had to put it up for vote. He put it up for vote and they lost 8-2. Even after them losing the verbal vote, he tried to say that the noes had it, and then one of the congressmen had asked for a roll call, and obviously in the roll call they got the count right. So now what I'm hearing is Comer is going to Congressman Comer is going to sign a subpoena, and that the Department of Justice will have to release the file. So Congress is still out until after Labor Day, and we expect those files should be in the hands of the U.S. House of Representatives at that time. Further, with this Epstein thing, they decided that they would fire the prosecutor, who's also James Comey's daughter. I don't understand that. She also was the prosecutor in the Diddy case as well. Well, she was fired, no warning, no nothing. We also have a report of an old interview that Luther Campbell did. And if you don't know who he is, leader of the Two Live crew. And he talked about being at a party with Donald Trump and him seeing that there were a lot of females in there that seemed to be underage. And he decided to leave. And if anybody that's listening now, like, forget the file coming out. Google Stacey Williams, 1993. I promise you, reading what he did to this girl as a 13-year-old girl will make you vomit. And the fact that we have to wait for these files to come out when there's so many living victims that are either willing to tell their story or are telling their story, and the fact that this is still like up for debate of like his involvement in this is sickening. And it just lets me know that some people like truly don't have a code. It's, I'm going to be mad at, or I'm going to be outraged at whatever the people that I don't like do. But if somebody I do like does the same thing, I'll yell deep state, or why didn't the Democrats release it, or whatever. The Democrats didn't run on releasing the file. They didn't wave that out there like red meat. And the right is so like in shambles that now you have Tulsi Gabbard like throwing Obama's name in there. The information she put out that she said that she's recommending for charges to be brought by the DOJ are so bad that Republicans who work the case or Republicans that either worked for Donald Trump in the past are all coming out and like, hey man, she's just lying. They're not like, oh, she's trying to, she's trying to work around the system. She's loosely interpreting what happened. They are literally just saying that she's lying. So this is what happens, right? Nobody likes this woman. When she was a Democrat, all Republicans called her a Russian asset. And then the Democrats realized that she was, and pretty much just kind of like isolated her from any of like the real business because they couldn't trust her like with keeping secrets and not like leaking information. So look, not only the GOP, but to the former president of Syria, Assad. Like, this is how bad this woman is. But because she spoke out against Obama and the Democrats and Hillary and saying that they should all be locked up or whatever, they like, hey, you can, Trump like, yo, you could work for me or what have you. But I have never met one person who is universally not trusted more than Tulsi Gabbard. I've never seen it in my life. And then for her to get up there and just make something up just to try to deflect from the facts that we have about Trump friendship and relationship with Epstein. And this is the thing. It's not even just about Epstein when it comes to President Trump and young girls. Pull any video from any of the pageant contestants, and they all talk about how creepy he was. But somehow the right cares about kids and things like that. And this is the funny thing. I ain't heard from Riley Gaines, our 5th place champion, in a hot minute. Miss Gaines, yo, we want to hear from you. And totally unrelated, where is Marco Rubio? Look, like when somebody say he's out back, he out back. I don't know what he did, what he said, or whatever, but they have literally put that man on punishment, and he got 2 jobs. He's the Secretary of State, and I think he's like the National Security Advisor. And we ain't heard from this dude. So, and in an attempt, and I'm going to close with this, in an attempt to get away from the drumbeat of release the Epstein files or talk about your involvement in the Epstein files, our brave president ran over to his mother's homeland, quote unquote, Scotland. And soon as he got off the plane and in front of a microphone, the first question was about Epstein. There's protests going on the entire time, like every stop. They haven't interviewed one person that's happy for him to be there. They want him to go back. They don't like that their country is spending all this money to for his security, and they can't stand him. They want him to leave. They're even saying release the files. They're even saying, what does make America great mean? Like, and these are people from Scotland that are saying this. So we'll see how all this plays out. People are saying he's finished. I don't believe so, because sadly his followers are just looking for a good enough excuse, a good enough lie that they can get behind in order to defend him. And once him and his staff figure that out, that's what they'll be on. And I know I said I was going to close, but I want to close with this. If you haven't seen the episode of South Park, even if you're not a fan of like cartoons or animated political stuff or whatever you want to describe it as, please go watch it. Just please. And the reason I bring that up, right, and I say please go watch it, is this. Imagine your company signed this huge deal with this company, and then you watch one of your coworkers get fired. Now, for full disclosure, Colbert had excellent ratings, but he didn't have excellent advertising. And because of that, the show was losing money. I'm going to say that. That being said, his 30 plus year contribution to CBS put CBS in a position to sign this new deal, even though it's one of Trump's billionaire friends who thought the election was stolen and bought CBS to get to the Sun to run or whatever. Still, he don't get to benefit financially at you signing this new deal. Well, the creators of South Park, they must be feeling like I did. Now, they did get paid. They got paid $1.5 billion, plus they'll get streaming revenue from the old episodes, and they're under contract to produce 50 episodes in, I believe, the next 5 years. Well, episode 1 was a doozy, and they went scorched earth on Donald Trump. I mean, everything. Basically what they did was say, F you. And F you, F you, F you, F you, all through that. you thought that by us signing a new deal, setting ourselves up and our, family, our generation to come, that we were just gonna like kowtow and kiss Donald Trump's behind. Nope. Called him out on everything. I'm talking the economy. I'm talking religion in schools. Of course, Epstein. Just everything. Made fun of his member throughout the broadcast, to the point to where the White House makes a statement calling it failing and irrelevant. And I'm like, look, you cannot like it, and you can say that, South Park wasn't as big as what it was, but what show is? But for them to be big enough to be included in this deal just lets you know that like they're anything but failing and irrelevant. $1.5 billion is $1.5 billion. So big shout out to South Park for showing the courage that you had, because, things can still happen. They can, maybe call a breach of contract, but I'm pretty sure these guys knew what they were doing. And I salute them for doing what you did with the season premiere. And I can't wait to see what you have in store for the episodes to follow. But that is my time. Those that's listening, just keep paying attention. I know there's a lot going on, and there's a whole lot to keep up with. Let's keep our eye on the Middle East. I think something very, very big is about to happen that will change the course going forward for the Middle East. I don't think that the world can continue to allow Israel to operate the way that they are, knowing what we know to be fact. No matter how much they say Hamas, October 7th, with what we know, I just don't think that there's any type of positive or productive way forward for Israel and the Palestinians unless an objective voice comes in and pretty much referees this thing. And now, look, I know that Palestinians listen, it's all our land. It is. But at this time, it's going to have to be split. And like I said, I just hope that whoever is tasked with refereeing this thing does the right thing. All right, y'all. Until next time, y'all take care. I appreciate the support. Let's continue to support the other podcasts on this great network. Talking with E, Life and Love, the Black Male Podcast, as well as the Encourage and Inspire Podcast. All right? But this is Politricked with your boy